Okay, let's give you guys some practice. So here's Sketch's function here. Okay, whenever you get given a function where you have one thing divided by another thing, consider what happens when this whole thing here breaks down. You see, it breaks down when this thing here equals 0. So consider what happens when this whole thing breaks down, and also when looking at your graph here. So this is your graph, x here, y here. Looking at this function here, consider what happens as x tends to infinity. So what happens when x gets very, very large, and what happens when x heads towards negative infinity. Okay, so looking at this here, you got to reason with yourself, because something happens as x gets very, very big. Something happens, but I haven't taught you. I haven't shown you what this thing here. I haven't shown you what happens. So you've got to develop your own method of doing it. Okay. So anyway, given this function here, sketch that graph. Okay. So so press pause and have a go. Okay, so to do this here, hang on. So to do this here, look what happens when when x when this thing here equals 0. Okay, so something weird happens when this thing here equals 0. The whole thing here breaks down when x equals 0. So hang on. So looking at your graph here, when x equals 0, it breaks down. So what you do is you select a number just to the right of 0. Let's say 0. Select a really small number, but just to the right of 0. So let's just put this into our function here. So our function here. So if we put a really small number in there, just to the right. So when you square this here, it would be very, very, very small, and then you go to plus 6, and then put this number into here. So 2 times a very, 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 very small number. So a very, very small number plus 6. We can just consider that to be 6. Okay. And then 2 times a very, very small number is going to be a very, very, very small number. Okay, so now you've got 6 divided by a very, very small number. That will equal a very, very big number, a positive big number. So looking at your graph here, you know it's going to do something like this. It's going to be very, very big. And then now to the left-hand side. So dead on 0, our function breaks down. But you can select a number that's really close to 0, but to the left-hand side. So select minus 0.00001. And then put this number here into this thing here. So that would be a negative very, very small squared. If you have a negative very, very small squared, that means it's going to be a positive very, very small. Okay, so very, very, very small. But don't forget this is positive, because 2 negatives makes a positive. Plus 6 here, divided by, and then 2 times a negative very, very small. Negative very, very, very small. So that would equal, well, let's just consider this to be 6. And then 2 times a negative very, very small. So it's going to be a negative very, 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 very small. Okay, so now let's just move this up here, move the negative up here, and then move it out here. And then now just consider this bit here. So now our answer here, hang on, so our answer here is minus this number here. Well, 6 divided by very, very small would be very, very, this thing here would be very, very, very big. Okay, and then you've got your minus out here, so it's going to be very, very negatively big, if that makes sense. So our graph here will look like this, negatively big, but so our graph will look something like this so far. Okay, I will continue in the next video.